Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, the show for visionary coaches, healers, wellness pros, and small business owners who aren't just here to host another feel-good getaway, but to build a profitable, impactful retreat business. I'm your host, Shannon Jamail, retreat strategist, business mentor, and owner of a 46-acre retreat center. I've hosted over 100 retreats around the world, and I've made every mistake so you don't have to. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset, marketing, money, business, and mechanics behind sold-out, profitable retreats. Plus, hear from expert guests who are walking the talk. Whether you're planning your first retreat or scaling your 100th, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. Today is such an exciting day because I have a fabulous guest on my show today that I actually met while I was in London doing my workshop with Aaron and Allison. Welcome, Dawni, to the show.
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited that you are here, and I will not probably do justice to who you are and what you do. So will you please tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Sure, sure. This is always a very difficult question for me because I am what I consider to be multi-passionate, and I call myself a multi-potentialite, which, in its essence is just an entrepreneur that can't stick to one thing and likes to get involved in many, many different projects. But that journey has led me most notably to being part of the community in the UK that has a front forward kind of human first leadership when it comes to boutique marketing as an agency model, but changing what agency means, because agency does sometimes have a little bit of a negative connotation, and boutique marketing agencies, especially ones like mine that are just born in the northwest of England, we are kind of creating a new narrative over how marketing works and how we can support entrepreneurs and business owners to really have a good relationship with marketing and not be fearful of how to market their businesses really well and from a place of ethical standing. Because one of the things that happened a lot over here, and I'm sure that it's the same in the US, is we went through a period where marketing was actually a bit of a dirty business, and there were large agencies that were very sharky, and it was a little bit difficult to find advice and support for your business without actually doing something that felt very bad for your morals, leaning into negative
Mm.
buying, trying to constantly remind people of their pain points, doing all of these things that actually can make you feel a little bit icky. So one of the main things that we've done, and the things that I get told off all the time by my team for not mentioning whenever I do anything where people won't know me, is we did create the first regulation for social media managers, technically globally, but I do only hold the regulation in the UK, which just gives a qualification and an education to people who are managing brands and their reputation and the way that they interact and change perception of their audiences and obviously customers and clients. So that was kind of our history changing moment. We were the first ones ever to do that. So we have a quality standard trademark that belongs to us, and we train people in how to kind of support small businesses and entrepreneurs in that marketing piece in a way that really feels good. But covers all of the absolute necessary professional frameworks. Like we don't leave anything out. It's not just, you know, and we do believe in energetics and frequencies and all of that stuff, but we don't rely just on that. We do have an absolute kind of framework of professional standards as well, in terms of all the normal things that you would have. Yeah, so that's basically what I do. But I have a couple of books. I also have a podcast, and like I said, I can't stick to one thing. So you may find me in other places of the internet doing strange things because I do like to get out there and give my passions a go.
Okay, well, I think we were connected at birth somehow because I am also multi-passionate and I love this so much. And when I met you in London, so my friend Erin, she's hired your services or hired you or works with
Yeah.
you. And I knew when I went to London and I met you, your energy and your knowledge, just everything about you, I knew I wanted to work with you too. So I've just now obviously hired your company and you're going to be helping us with our marketing. And I can tell, Dawni, just by our conversation and by the way you approach business, that it is different. And I love that. It's like, how can we expand your organic reach, not just paid reach, but organic reach? And how can we look at your messaging? And how can we look at the activities that you're doing? And so I think one of the problems is, and this is the misconception I'd love for you to help us out with, those that are listening, is people think marketing companies, marketing agencies, they're just going to make me spend a whole lot of money, and I'm not sure what I'm going to get out of that. What do you think about that?
I think that that is a really good, stable frame point to come from. Like, I think if you walk into every meeting that you have with marketing people with that in mind, what you're actually doing is a very good basic due diligence, and that gives a level of intelligence. Like that's a good thing. Do be wary because the industry that I work in has an underbelly. It does have, it's very difficult as well if you have never been in marketing or if you've never done jobs that kind of cross over into that, to know if someone is telling you the absolute truth. And marketing people are those kind of double hypnotists, like we know how to market, therefore we're great at marketing ourselves. So it's a very difficult thing to know. That being said, energetically, I do believe that if you trust your gut and you have a good understanding of what it is that you actually want and ask difficult questions and just give yourself the opportunity to see how those are received. Because one of the things that we always say to our clients, and this is just a tiny fraction of the things that we do, but say for instance, with some organic social media, we might build something, not like for Erin, because Erin's like the most chill, trustworthy. She just throws trust at us like you wouldn't believe. It's a gorgeous energy that she's in. But what we do for a lot of our clients is we will build something and we'll send it to you. And if you don't like it, we want to know. If there's something we can change on it, we want to know. If there is a feeling that it could be better because of information that you have that we don't have, we want to know. Those are the things you should be looking for. And yes, be a bit wary, but don't be scared of doing it because every single time you meet with somebody or every single time you have a moment where you're thinking about kind of going into that arena that feels a bit not right, you're doing the good work by process of elimination until you do find somebody who you have that connection with. And getting somebody who does care about your marketing alongside you and working with you is probably one of, if not the most impactful thing you can do for your income generating actions. So it is a scary thing and it should be a scary thing. You don't actually have to spend a lot of money. Look for the people that use phrases like, how can we get the most value for you out of this set budget or out of this set campaign? Or, for instance, if you have an event or something that we can really squeeze all the juice out of that lemon and just get lots of different repurposing out of, look for those kinds of actions in a person. And one thing I will say, and I stand by this. I get told off all the time for saying this because I am going against the code of marketeering ethics, is that there is no regulated pricing structure in marketing. So there is no kind of like solicitors or accountants have a rough estimate. Everybody kind of pays the same. Some larger firms will obviously change that based on their notoriety and all of that. But marketing firms don't even have that initial base point. So you can go to one person and it might be $20 an hour, or you can go to the next person, it might be $2,000 an hour. And unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult for you to know the difference. But the best thing to do is to see what the connection is like. Check that this person that you're speaking to or the people that you'll be working with are the type of people that really care and will get involved. And, you know, don't be scared to ask, okay, well, why do you price that way?
Nice.
Why do you give me some insight into the insight, how you do your business? Like, why do you do that? Because we are very transparent, and a number of the best boutique and even some of the bigger agencies that are actually really good, they have no qualms. We are an open book, we don't gatekeep.
Hmm.
And that's another little nice little tip. If you can have a meeting with somebody and they will freely offer you advice that is useful there and then, and they know that you can walk away from that meeting and never book them, never spend a penny with them, but it was still important to them that they gave you that value, even though it was maybe just an energy call or a sales call or whatever. That's usually an indicator of a good character who actually they have some sort of level of pursuit in helping people and not just taking money.
Hey guys, Shannon cutting in here real quick. Listen, the Retreat Industry Forum is happening May 14th through 17th in Denver, Colorado, and it's not your average feel good conference. This is where bold retreat leaders, venue owners, industry pros, small business entrepreneurs come together to disrupt, challenge, and advance what's possible in our industry. You'll get cutting edge strategy, real world business tools, and high level conversations about profitability, innovation, and sustainability without the fluff or kumbaya. Join myself, my friend Erin and Allison, along with other powerhouse leaders for 3 immersive days of connection, collaboration, and serious business growth, plus an exclusive VIP experience for those ready to go even deeper. Get all the details and grab your ticket now at retreatindustryforum.com. This isn't just another event, you guys. It's the movement that's reshaping the future of the retreat world. Oof, there's so much goodness to unpack here. I think the last thing you said just like blew my mind in the way that I wish more people talked about that. I wish more people talked about the exploratory calls even. There could be some good energy and good information exchange that could happen in that exploratory call. And that is a good indicator of how that relationship will look going forward, right? So I love that. The other thing is you mentioned, yes, it can be confusing. It can be overwhelming. There's all different kinds of negative, I guess, things that you could feel with it, but still don't let that hold you back from doing it. And I believe in this so strongly, Dawni. It was one of the things I talked about at length, even at my workshop in London. And I talked to it with everybody who's in this industry, in any industry. If you have a product, whether it's you, the product, or a product, doesn't matter. Having a marketing team behind you, if you don't have it within, like your own organization, is critical. And what I mean by that is if you are a solopreneur, which a lot of people listening to this are, you might have a VA, you might have maybe somebody who helps you out with some graphics or some whatever. But if you're a solopreneur and you don't have the skill set, which most of us do not, you've got to find an organization like Dawni's. To me, that's just like it's a no. There's no other way to do it today. It's so busy, it's so loud, it's so congested. There's so much going on that if you don't have someone that is helping you with your branding, helping you with your vision, helping you with your messaging, making sure it's all cohesive, that it's showing up in the right places, it's saying the right things that match who you are and what you offer. If you don't have someone that can do that for you on the inside, you've got to hire someone on the outside. That is just like a no, like there's no other option.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, if you do have somebody on the inside and you feel like, for instance, you said that you might have a VA or somebody who helps with graphics, which is such a beautiful place to start. And actually, if you're really, really uncomfortable and you don't want to jump in having meetings with agencies, also remember like marketing agencies, we're really good at marketing. So a lot of people when they meet with it, they're like, oh my gosh, you're actually just like a normal person. I am just a normal person. I'm a single mom of two. I've got a big Akita puppy. And we live in our little house. We have our little Christmas tree, and what I do for work looks really shiny and glamorous on Facebook. But that's my job. If it didn't, then I wouldn't be doing it well. So remember that the humans that you meet are just humans, even though they might look really polished online. That is what they do. So, but if you do have a VA or somebody in house that maybe is supporting you on a smaller scale, don't be scared of reaching out to people like myself who maybe head an agency but also work individually, fractional marketing directors that will come in even just for like a couple of weeks or a month or oversee things in a casual way for 6 months or 12 months to give you tips and hints. It's so much more affordable than people think that it is. It's not going to break the bank. And a lot of us now, fractional marketing directors and people that work in this way, and we know that we're working with solopreneurs, we know that we're working with business owners that have employee levels of kind of like less than 15 people. In those arenas, we are building products like a VA kind of model, like those kind of retainer models that are very impactful, but not high touch. Like we're not going to be working full time on your company all day, every day. But then obviously the investment is not so big and scary. But we can come in and we can actually the strategy piece or the actual market research piece, the bit that maybe is the expert level bit that is missing, can be jigsaw pieced in quite affordably and temporarily. Um, and I think people forget that you've got that flexibility. And if somebody doesn't show those services on a website, but you love them, you've been watching their stuff on Instagram, send them a little message and be like, hey, could you spare me 90 minutes once a month for the next 3 months just to oversee our marketing campaign and give me some, tweaks? And it's crazy the amount of money you can save by doing that rather than absolutely splurging hours trying to do it yourself when you're not somebody who has that already kind of living and breathing expertise. Because for us, it's super easy. We see over 100 different brands and how they work daily. And that's, a data and metric on a bird's eye view that no business person could get access to. But we are, coming from that place of privilege. And that's just the people who, run through our agency. Anybody that I work with in corporate or anytime that I get in any kind of circles to do with what's happening in the economy. These are all little bits of genius information. I can be having a conversation over a dinner party and just blurt out something that I think is completely normal. And it's like it's brand new information to everybody else there. So those options are there for you too. Don't always have to go all the way in on a big long contract. I mean, we do this beautiful thing as well, which is another nice thing to look out for. We will let people come for like 3 or 6 months and just test it. Just see if you
Nice.
like. Don't get too involved. And if it's not for you, you can get back out just as quickly. Because I do think as entrepreneurs like us ourselves, we know this, getting in and trying stuff fast is what we need to do. We need to be, early adopters, jump in, get in the stuff and give it a try. But then if it's not working for us, one of the benefits is quitting that super quick. And you will never be for everybody. You might find somebody and think, yeah, they're great, and then go and sign up for a couple of months and find actually this is not working for me, or I need more time, or I need a different dynamic. None of those things are bad. They're all growth. They're all learning, and we're all learning together. There's no Bible for this. There's no framework for this. There's a lot of blueprints and there's a lot of things that we can do to support, but we still have to make that our own, otherwise it won't work.
Yeah, I'm glad you said though that there are times and it's a learning experience when it won't always go well, right? I mean, I had that unfortunately just a few months ago, maybe longer than that, with a marketing agency where I was super clear on my monthly budget and on ad spend, and they doubled it in a month. And it was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. And then there was no response to that. It was not even like, oh my goodness, how do we make this right? It was like, oh, well, so things can happen. And so as a business owner, you've got to have you've got to have your pulse watched. You got to be paying attention. You can't just, I think, hand it over right away. I mean, I love that Aaron like trusts you immensely, and I trust you immensely because of Aaron probably. But when you're first courting, a marketing agency, or if you first get married, whatever you want to call it, pay attention. Is it lining up? Does it feel right? Does it feel cohesive? Do you feel like you're butting heads every time you have a discussion? Do you feel like there's resistance? Like those are all little warning flags to think about. It's, I think it's just really important to pay attention when you are starting a relationship with a company.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things that I always say is that being in business and courting your audience to convert them into clients and customers, which, is what marketing is like dating. And one of the reasons where we sometimes take a misstep in when we're creating our campaigns and we're creating our strategies and we're doing the things for our own business, I'm talking as a business owner myself now as well, is that we try to sleep with everybody on the first date. We're constantly trying to take our clients from, oh, this person exists, to give me all your money in one go. And just with any relationship, whether it is the relationship with your consumer, whether it is the relationship that you have with your team, these things are built on time. I mean, it is wonderful that Erin has that energy, but she is just so confident, and she's like nobody else I've ever met, which I love about her. I think it's such a wonderful way to be. But we do, Erin didn't need it, but we do have those provisions for our other clients because Erin is one in a million. We know what it feels like, and it's not comfortable. What we like to do is we like to take you out of your comfort zone, just enough so that you're in your growth zone. And remember, when you're working with somebody, the reason that you've gone to them is because they're an expert. And if you've done your due diligence, you've checked out other people who've worked with them, you've seen the work, always ask for examples. Like we're awful at keeping our portfolio up to date. We really are because we're busy. But we do still have a portfolio. And if people come to us and say, "Hey, Dawni, can you like give me just a little example of a podcast that your team has edited? Or, can you give me an example of graphics that you've done or whatever?" We do have that, and it's totally fine. We as long as our clients, and we very lucky, our clients do release stuff like that so that we can show other people. As long as they've said yes, we're happy to show you, and you can see a little bit like breadcrumbs the development of our work through who we've worked for, and the our work is everywhere. Like if you look on the internet, it actually take a long time for you to get somewhere where we haven't touched at some point, which is really nice. So you do have to think about, you've hired that expert because you don't have that. Give the expert the opportunity to, in a loving and nurturing way, educate you and
Hmm.
show you what they are going to do differently. It's not going to feel nice. It's not going to feel comfortable, especially if you're the type of person who has been maybe doing your own marketing, your own messaging, has never outsourced before, and loves your business, loves your movement or your company or whatever it is that you're doing. And it's like, it's a digital love child and you don't really want anyone else to kind of touch it. They're the uncomfortable things. But what we get
Hmm.
is we get a lot of people that come to us and they are tentative, quite rightly, and then they get loved upon like for however long, however many months, and then at a certain point it's just a,
Yeah.
I can just let this go now. I know that it's in safe hands. And then when that happens, funnily enough, that's where people end up having their shifts. We start to see people, and not just because of the marketing that we're doing, even if you took away the results that we achieve and just put that to one side, what we can see happening within entrepreneurs and business owners is in that moment, they actually step into their CEO mode because they're not trying to do all of the things that it actually isn't what they were supposed to be doing. So even outside of the marketing result that we get, they start to get results in their own personal growth, in the idea generation. This is when we start to see people getting into places where they want to revolutionize their product suites. They want to change up what they offer, or they get really clear on one big kind of offer and launch. And it's very, very common for us after we've worked with somebody a year, 18 months, for them to be like, right, we're ready to go big. And it's that space, that kind of breadth that you give yourself. Yes, uncomfortable at first, but from a long standing kind of idea, you're actually giving the next 2 to 5 years version of you that space to expand whatever it is that you absolutely adore about being in your business, a chance to grow. So even and then of course like the marketing results on top of that is just like an added bonus, right? So like, that it's a win-win. So yeah, I mean one of the things that I always heard when I was first getting into business was outsource a step before you're ready. And that I thought was always quite a good thing to consider. Obviously not financially, don't put yourself in financial burden. I would never advocate for that. Don't buy things on anything that's going to cause you any problems, like that there's no need for that. There's lots of affordable ways to do it without that. But you will probably stop yourself from feeling ready when you are ready because it does feel uncomfortable. But growth zone is never comfy.
No, and I do think it requires a stretch. It sometimes is a stretch financially. I know there was a space where, I started off with a part-time assistant and then two part-time assistants, and now I've got a full-time and a part-time assistant. But what has happened in that space and at all of those transitions, not one time did I say, "Oh, I have lots of money to pay for this person." There wasn't, that's not what was coming up. It was more like, shit, where am I going to pull this money from? Right. And
Right.
so, but each time I did that, Donnie, exactly what happened, which is it created space that I was able to create other things as the CEO and not doing the emails or whatever it is, the other little things. And that's the same thing that I think you're talking about when it comes to the marketing. If you are a marketing genius and that is your zone of genius, then yeah, be involved. But believe it or not, and I know this is hard for business owners to hear, that's usually not our zone of genius. We might have pieces of it, but that's usually not. We're creators, right? And Donnie, you are too as a business owner. But I mean, like we're creating of the product, whether the product's us, our services, an actual product, whatever it is. Like we're creating products, we're bundling products, we're doing all of these different things, and then we need someone else with a different set of eyes. Listen to me when I say this: a different set of eyes to look at that and say, okay, the messaging you have right now is not selling or it's not working. This is why, or et cetera and so forth. And that requires an expert. And so the other two things that I want to add to that is it does also require time. And Donnie, you mentioned it, but I think some people are like, okay, well, within a month it should pay for itself. That's not necessarily the case. I would even say sometimes it takes a good solid 6 months before you're like, okay, wait, I'm seeing some traction happening here, right? So I do want to be super clear on that. Could it happen earlier? Donnie, I'm sure you've seen it happen earlier. Could it take longer? I'm sure you've seen it take longer. But I feel like that's kind of a decent gauge. What do you think as far as you got to give it time?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I would say as well is most people that are in marketing have some strain of geek running through them, like real solid nerd energy. And I actually love it. I think it's one of the cutest things about us as people. But that nerd energy needs data. It needs clear, clean, pure metrics. And we don't fully always take what we are told from each individual place. It doesn't matter whether it's school, Substack, whether it's Instagram, like Meta, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. We will take the insights, but we like to pull that, kings and queens of spreadsheets, and we like to pull that and create our own information that we know that we have looked at and that has been thoroughly investigated. And often the little like nerdy scientist, data scientist in us wants to go and see what is the exception, what is the rule. And I think one of the hardest things is because of viral visibility nature, social media being an excellent example for this. You can have one video that can, for whatever reason, just shoot off to the sky, and hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, can view it. And that feels on the collective like that's going to be a big win. But that's actually really awful for people like me because that skews your figures, gives me no accurate information about your true audience, your conversion, how you're being received, what the perception of your market placement is, all of those great juicy things that we're looking for with our numbers. And that's what people are looking for sometimes when they say like, oh, I thought maybe there'd be some results after a month. That's what people kind of expect, and that is actually damaging to your brand long term. We can't get solid data that we can start to read and have confidence in until after solid month three. We still are tentative about it for another 3 months after that. And the accounts where we have the absolute most clarity that we can trust, clarity that doesn't move, are the ones where we've had 12 to 18 months worth of consistent information. Um, and I think sometimes it's a question to ask yourself over, am I looking for temporary comfort or am I looking for long-term result? Because temporary comfort and feeding your ego and having the vanity metrics, 3 more people followed me today, 600 people watched that video that I put out of my cat, that kind of thing. It feels good in the moment and it feels like it is a return in terms of visibility in that might turn into something in business. But unfortunately, again, it's a bit like dating. It's a bit like being love bombed by marketing. It's not the true deep, deep love that a long-term relationship and actual clarity over the data that you get can provide for you. And if you have the kind of, I've got no patience, but if you can just have like the patience and the trust in that process, then the data and the metrics that you get from that will be eternally useful. It won't matter what happens, year three of your business, you're still going to have a solid data set that any marketeer that you work with, any VA that you work with that understands it going forward, will be able to use as a base point to understand how your audience in that framework of time reacted to things, what worked, what didn't work. We're able to remove the things that are out of our control, such like the algorithms. Everybody goes mad about the algorithms. It's just one tiny element, and we have to remove it because we don't have control over it. And the mindset over this is very much, it's not a quick thing. And if you want to be in business for the next 3 years because it's a cool thing to do, then maybe you don't worry too much about that. But if you actually want to have a long-standing business that's 5 years plus, it's a really, really good shift in your perception from the offset to just think, oh, wait a minute, this is not going to be quick, immediate results. And if you do get quick, immediate results, 9 times out of 10, again, I'm going to go into marketing prison for this, it's not your marketer. It's a fluke. The people that say, oh, come to me and in 60 days, we can't guarantee nothing. We take the information that's in front of us and we decode it and we use that information and then we test and test and test until we have something solid that we can hold on to, and then we adapt and we change and we make sure that we triple down on strengths and that we do everything we can so opportunities aren't missed. But nobody in marketing, is magic in that way that they can guarantee anything.
Amen. Hallelujah. I love it. And just in case you are curious, those that are listening, Dawni and her organization do work with people worldwide. I just hired her company and I'm in the US. Pretty much everything that Dawni works on every day is relevant to anybody who has a business, no matter where it is. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. Also, Dawni, I saw you did that photo shoot in Paris, which I was so jealous. And if you ever get the tickle to want to do one with horses and bulls and cowboy hats,
We would
just let me
love
know.
that. We would love that. I mean, we just love those days. Honestly, Shannon, it's the sweet nectar of part of what we do because so much of what we do is social media. Content has been a big thing of it. And yeah, Paris was great. We went to Ibiza a couple of times this year. We did one in Central Park in New York a couple of years ago. And yeah, yeah,
Well, let
we
me
would
know when you're
love that.
ready to come to Austin, Texas. I will host you here at the ranch and we will make it so fun. It will be amazing. And so, Dawni, thank you so much for taking the time to share your beauty and your expertise with my audience. And I'm super excited to work with you guys. Just thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely to talk to you. And, I will geek out on this stuff anytime. So if you ever need me, I'm here. Just holler.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in to the Retreat Leaders podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your retreat besties. Want more support? Grab free resources at theretreatleadersplaybook.com. Until next time, lead boldly, serve deeply, and retreat profitably.